In Congress, nothing happens overnight.
James Moylan is exactly the kind of guy we need in Congress.
I'm especially thankful for your work to re-elect my great friend, James Moylan.
He is a fierce fighter for the people of Guam and a strong leader in the halls of Congress.
Send back a strong voice for Guam in Washington, and that voice is James Moylan.
For 4 years, I built the relationships, trust, and momentum we need to move Guam's priorities forward. Now, we're advancing a Guam passport office, a VA regional office, and the fight to expand visa-free travel from the Philippines. We passed legislation through the House to expand in-state tuition opportunities and better serve our disabled veterans. And I'm fighting outdated shipping and airline restrictions that make it more expensive to live, travel, and raise a family on Guam. And we helped secure nearly $56 million in community project funding for Guam. But some of our biggest fights aren't finished. And starting over now means losing precious time. So let's keep Guam moving forward. And I'm James Moylan, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Good Morning Show with Troy Torres is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Can I tell you, can we keep it light just for the beginning part of this show? Because, this is an exhausting week for many people. I'm sure for all the political campaigns, it is the most exhausting, right? But for us in the media, it's exhausting too, trying to keep up with everything, right? The election is in what, 2 days. The everything, all the other issues that are coming to light, the ability to discern, what is being said in the government realm that is trying to manipulate the politics and how to manage all that, right? So it's important that we keep our sense of humor. This morning I was talking to Johnny Rosario with Kandit, and we were just having our morning gossip. And I remembered something from my youth. So and I was telling her this story. I said, when I was a young gay, my best gay friend Gerald Lujan and we were out clubbing. And yes, this is, I don't even know, are there even gay clubs anymore? Is that even a thing anymore? Back in the day, it was called Denial. What you young people know as Icon was Denial, and it was a gay club back in the day. And people, whenever someone these days is like, let's go to the club, I'm like, girl, we ain't going to the club. We're 125 years old. We are not going to any club. I am in bed by 10 p.m. at the latest. There ain't no way I'm going. So I don't even like alcohol anymore. Like it tastes bad to me, except for the occasional tequila or glass of wine, or maybe a beer or something like that. But it's not like when I was young. All right. So when I was young, when Gerald and I were in our 20s, Gerald's just a year older than me. So he's like 126 years old. I noticed that in the gay club that a lot of the gay guys were like snobby to us, to both Gerald and me. And I was like, girl, is it just me or did the gays don't like us? And he goes, girl, they don't like us. I go, why, girl? I'm so nice to them. And I know that in hindsight that's not true. Like I realize that as I look back in my life, I'm actually a very nice person on an individual level. Like if we are having a conversation, you and me, and the more I get to know you as well, like I'm gonna be even nicer and nicer. Like I'm very courteous. I'm actually a pretty good listener. Um, but on like a macro level, on, as I look back in my life, on a macro level, I can see how people can rightfully accuse me of not being a nice person. So, um, uh, I was like, "But girl, why? I'm such a nice person." And he goes, I'll never forget this. It was we had our crew, right, but it was mainly Gerald Carlos Pangilinan, who's one of the owners of Kandit. And if you ever meet Carlos, you'll know he meets this qualification to the team. And our late friend Keith Brubb, and there's a couple others, right? I was like, why, girl? Why do they like us? I'm so nice. He goes, girl, we're the mean gays. We were known. Our reputation was that we were the mean gays. I will never forget that. And I was like, why, girl? I'm so nice. I say hi. And he goes, girl, stop being nice to them. Okay, I just wanted to share that memory with you because it came into my mind this morning, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna share this tidbit of laughter with Candid News. Okay, that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're gonna talk about today. I just wanted to break the ice with you with that memory. Hold on. All right. Okay, let's get serious because there are serious things to talk about. Okay. There are a couple of things I do want to talk about. One, as I considered what to discuss last night, and then waking up. I have my the night before. I think about, okay, what is it I'm going to talk about, right? And sometimes that's driven by anger or by anxiety, and so I think, okay, in the morning I'm going to reconsider after sleeping on it. Literally, after sleeping on it, I'm going to consider this, right? And so last night, what I went to bed with was, I can't believe that it's already Wednesday and we haven't seen a plan yet from the administration on how to attempt to salvage or to roll back the damage that has been done by the rally remarks, considering that it's the incumbent administration, right? And because they have DISID, they've got public health, behavioral health, Guam Developmental Disabilities Council, their advocacy in all different areas, the Guam Early Learning Council, Guam Department of Education, so many of these different agencies or programs within agencies of the government of Guam that consumers rely upon to provide certain services that all lead toward or supposed to lead toward greater autonomy for children and people who are living with disabilities in one form or another, right? And so because of the damage that was done, you would expect, especially because the damage was done by the administration, that there would be in damage control on day one. By Monday morning, this is why I asked the question of DISID compliance manager Michael Poblete and I'm going to play for you this clip this morning, Guam Developmental Disabilities Council Director Jermaine Alerta. What did your management teams do on come Monday morning? Did you meet? Was there an urgent meeting, an emergency meeting that said, hey, this damage was done, we got to start planning and executing a plan to fix this? And not having anything to do with politics, but on their mission, what they're supposed to be doing, because this is a big deal. Our advocates are calling us, the organizations are calling us, our consumers are calling us, and they want action. And last night I went to bed with, I can't believe it's already Wednesday and there's no plan. And I woke up this morning and I looked through the email, messages, news, other news outlets, still nothing, still no plan. And I thought this deserves a conversation this morning because it's already day 4 and nothing. And so we're going to play for you that clip from Jermaine Alerta and talk about how it's 4 days later. Where's the plan? Where's the execution of whatever plan this is that hasn't been made public, if one even exists? And then I want to start talking about an issue that I don't fully comprehend, but I'm learning more and more about it. But what I understand about it is that child care centers, daycare centers need to be paid for the work that they've been doing and the work that they need to do. And this is not even considering how they need to be paid even more to ramp up services for early learners, for pre-kindergarten, right? And we're going to talk to Senator Chris Duenas. We're going to have these conversations on the other side of this commercial break. Stick with us.
Tony and I got married at an early age, and back then, we didn't have much. But from the very beginning, Tony was determined to create a better future for our family. Shortly after we were married, Tony joined the Army and we moved to our first duty station at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Those weren't always easy years, but they taught us the importance of sacrifice, faith, and commitment. What I've always admired about my husband is that he's the same person at home that people see in the public. He's honest, he's humble, and he genuinely cares about people. He's a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grandfather. Tony and I have been together for 43 years, and I've been blessed to stand beside him through every chapter of our lives. I'm Annette Ompinko Ada, and I humbly ask for your support and vote for my husband, Tony Ada, for Governor of Guam.
I'm Tony Ada, and I approve this message. Together, we'll put Guam first.
Hafa day. You all know me. I've been your senator, former speaker, businesswoman, lawyer, educator, and I am a mother. And I've spent my working life fighting for truth and justice for the people of Guam. As your governor, I will continue to fight for your families, and I will deliver a government that you can trust. This is a critical time for Guam, and we need change now. Our families are struggling and cannot wait. Please vote for us this election to bring that change that Guam needs.
I'm Therese Terlahi.
And I'm Sabina Perez, and we approve this message.
Okay, here's the context. The Governor Lulian Gross, she introduced a bill to the legislature to appropriate supplemental funding for different things. One of the most important things, in my opinion, the most important thing in that whole thing was to appropriate $11.4 million, if I'm not mistaken, for to pay for the local government to pay what the federal government is no longer paying, or what the local government is waiting for the money on. We'll get the details from Senator Chris Duenas, but that the federal government no longer is paying for the child care subsidies. This is the money that the government pays to daycare centers that subsidizes operations in order to prevent high daycare costs for parents. In order to, it's really something that benefits the economy, because an investment in daycare is an investment in the workforce. When you think about it, the practical application of that is, if you are not a stay-at-home father or a stay-at-home mother because you have a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old who because of the failures of our government to institute universal pre-K for those ages, now we need to rely on the private sector, right? And the issue of a structured setting, and so that's a whole other issue that needs to be discussed at another time, right? But in the meantime, if you are able to go to work because you no longer have to be a stay-at-home father or a stay-at-home mother, for economic reasons, then you can get a job, and that helps to fill the workforce. It helps to move more money into the economy. So it makes good economic sense. Not to mention, if we're looking at structured settings where there are standards of learning in these early childhood care settings, the daycare settings, then we're moving society forward, and we are preventing crime far into the future. All different societal benefits to stuff like this, right? So that's the most important thing in this whole thing. The problem is and we're not even going to get to the issue of motives here, is that the administration does not appear to have a clear, either they don't have a clear understanding of the numbers, or there's something about the numbers that they're not being transparent about, such that senators, during their scrutiny of the amount that the administration wants, have been able to poke some pretty big holes into the administration's story about these finances. I'm going to play for you 3 clips from session, and then we're going to get Senator Chris Duenas on the phone. Let me childcare Teresa Ariola. Here's Teresa Ariola, the Director of Public Health and Social Services. Under her agency is the administration of these subsidies.
I said we can deal with July, August, and September at a supplemental ask, which is the reason why I'm here. But maybe I can ask Director Byrne, because at the direction of the governor, he paid up so that April and May and partially June, I just want to keep saying partially, because not all the invoices were clean in the sense that it needed to be vetted. And so whatever April, May, and June clean invoices that could be paid, we batched them and we sent it to DOA. The governor gave direction to Director Byrne, and he was able to pay that out, and that's why childcare were able to get April, May, and partially June. We're at a point now where, and Director Byrne, do you want to speak on that payment, on that?
Yeah, Director Byrne, if you could, because I remember we had you in here on the, I want to say it was the budget bill. You've been in here a lot. Thank you. Sir. But there was a lot of muddy water, confusion about, the issuing of the press release and when the funds were actually delivered. So if you could just clarify that.
Yes, when the governor issued the press release, Senator, I think she mentioned $5 million, which was an assessment at the time. The amount we paid out for April, May, and partial June, as the director said, was about just over $3.2 million.
It's up to $4.6 million. If you add the 17 and the 4.6, that equates to the 22 that we feel and are told it's all we're going to get.
You got 12 million in November, 2.7 in April.
Okay, I'm sorry, Senator. Let me just add it up. The CCDF funding is 2 buckets, discretionary and mandatory. In November, we got 12.2 for discretionary bucket and 1.6, I'm sorry, 12.2 for the discretionary. The discretionary, you should know, is the larger bucket of money. In April, we received 2.7, and in July 18, we were 2.6. In the mandatory bucket, we received in October 1.6, in January 1.6, April 695,000, and July 695,000. If you add all that up, 17 total for discretionary and 4.6 for mandatory. That brings you to 22, 810,381. Correct? Please keep me on. We
Okay.
paid, yeah. Thank you.
So,
No, Senator. There are no more grant funds, and it was always held by DOA and Public Health. The funds never were at GITA. We just administered the programs.
All right, so none of these funding sources listed here that went through 2020 through 2025 are available?
Not at GITA.
Are they available, Mr. Byrd?
No, Senator, they're all expired.
Okay. So, Mr. Byrne, the governor announced that she was going to pay $5 million, but today you're telling us only $3.2 million was paid. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Why not the 5?
I don't have the balance. I only have invoices totaling 3.2 million.
Oh, so she could have paid 5 if she had $5 million in invoices, but she didn't have the invoices? They're saying they have a $1.2 million in invoices being held because we don't
Being
have funds.
processed. The reason why he didn't pay out 3.5 million is because he only had 3.2 of invoices to pay.
Okay, so there's still some that, so you can pay June as soon as you process your
As
invoices.
soon as the process and the clearing, at the time when Mr. Byrne paid 3.2, it included some June clean invoices. We are cleaning it up, and as soon as those invoices are done, it will be batched.
How long is that going to take? Why is this an irregular process? It seems we get calls a lot about some people are getting paid, some are not. It's taking a long, long time. So for this patch of June that you have processing, how long will it take?
Senator Chris Duenas joins us by phone right now. Senator, is it just me or are the numbers all over the place from the administration?
It is not just you, Troy, and good morning to the Kandit listeners. And, you know, Troy, I love your forum because it's not time constrained and we actually get to the truth. I mean, I understand radio programs and the like have their infrastructure, but thank you once again for this opportunity to get the truth out to the people. First of all, the numbers are all over the place, but let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
The reason why the administration is asking for this 7.6 million instead of the 11 point whatever it is.
Well, they originally asked
adjusted,
for 11 point something, originally in their bill, right? Then they brought it down to 7.6.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to start with.
So essentially,
you have to understand, I
yes.
don't have a full comprehension of this. So you're going to have to take this as like an education for dummies with Troy type of thing. So,
oh, you're far from a dummy, but I understand. And I know our listeners need this detail too. So thank you so much.
Okay.
So essentially, the reason why the number changed was because there's that 5 million out there that the governor, always within her authority, can pay whatever bills she needs to pay through transfer authority or through the $88 million of cash she has in the bank right now from excess revenue. An appropriation can come later, but anyways, the reason why that number is different now is because there's adjusted for numbers that have already been paid. But let's start from the beginning. The administration decided to continue to provide subsidies for COVID era childcare. And that's why Speaker Frank Bloss was really ticked them on their chart because it said, hey, listen, you're paying these benefits and there's a change. Anyways, that's a little bit more complicated. Let me keep going.
Okay.
So when they did this, they never came to the legislature for an appropriation.
Oh,
so they
that
just
sounds
did it.
Illegal.
Well, you know, they did it and so they never came for an appropriation and they never included it in their budget for 27. So they were kind of rolling on their own. They decided to do this, but they did, I will admit, have fits and starts with their distribution of funds from the block grant. And the reason for that is in Minnesota, I think maybe you've been watching some of the national news. There was this huge controversy of fraud, and they're investigating fraud right now on childcare centers. And so the national government decided to halt for a little while and review all programs. And it looks like Guam is in good standing. And that's why the spigot opened back up. And now, as Therese just pointed out there, Areola, that there is a full accounting now for the 22 million that Guam was scheduled to receive. Now, this additional revenue is to keep the program.
Can I stop you right there? 22 million.
Yes.
There's an accounting of 22 million because $22 million in services have been provided. Would that be correct?
Correct. And the block grant is made whole by ensuring that the 22 million that we anticipated to get has been received since Liberation Day. We got liberated, that all that money's here, so they can pay that money, but they need the subsidy for the last 3 months because they decided to maintain the eligibility for which they had no appropriation.
I was going to ask that. How did they just email or call up the daycare centers and say, just keep operating, we're going to get you this subsidy? Or did a certifying officer at Public Health have to sign something that says the obligation is good to go, there's this purchase order, you're good to go, we're gonna pay you, we just need an appropriation? Like, how did that happen? I'm confused.
Well, that part I'm still confused about too, because plenty of the daycare providers, which are in full dispute of public health on a lot of different issues, were down there. And first of all, talking about how it's been completely irregular with no real communication. But even that communication was, I guess, basically just directly, go ahead and bill us for this because we're going to keep this program going. That's all we can get right now. We need more detailed information.
So we don't have evidence of obligations. We don't have evidence of purchase orders or anything like that.
I don't have that. That wasn't provided, except for that. You listen to that whole committee of the whole and you'll understand why we're confused. Okay. You'll find out that they were basically just doing things on the fly, and that's why they need this appropriation. And it's not necessarily just because of the interruption of funding from the national government. So going forward, they want to do this subsidy going forward, and they never asked for it in the 27 budget. So that's what this number really is about right now. It's an adjusted number for eligibility that they're deciding to continue, which, I think it has merit, Troy, and we need to talk about it. But generally, we talk about this in a more controlled manner where, public health comes down and says, hey, we've made this decision. The governor made this decision. We need an appropriation for it. But what also happened, Troy, was the governor sandwiched this request in between two very controversial funding requests. Bobby, which we still do not agree with the governor's numbers, but we finished that section of an omnibus bill.
Okay.
This bill, Special Session 19S, is an omnibus bill. It's basically a supplemental appropriation or an ask to appropriate all of the money that's left in fiscal year 26 of excess revenue. So we're actually appropriating excess revenue right now.
Senator, if I can give you just my opinion as a citizen, just my personal opinion as a citizen, I don't think you guys should pass that Bobby appropriation. Not without more answers.
A lot of our colleagues feel that way, and we feel that the governor is already using agencies' resources for it, and that we should be actually looking at reimbursements from FEMA on that. So I agree that that's an issue. And then the airport, like I said, I need to make the people understand this. This thing is sandwiched and wedged right in between a very controversial appropriation coming up, where the airport, we're here now, are going to actually ask for $26 million, which is $17 million bailout, and the $9 million that the governor has not remitted for 5 fiscal years now of the gas tax that the governor, and we gave her authority to do it in this budget through transfer authority. She hasn't done it and refuses to do it.
Senator Jeff Lujan said that the gas tax remittance actually is $27 million that the governor has failed to make.
That the 9 million makes it 27 because their current ask 26 or 27 is because their current ask right now is 17 million for the actual bailout. And I'll explain that in a minute too. So that is the one that we haven't even started that hearing, because tomorrow we understand they are going to meet with the airlines And my understanding is they are going to have a very difficult conversation with the airlines because they're trying to massively hike fees. And so we don't want to get in the middle of that until we know what they're proposing to the airlines so that we can understand why they're doing what they're doing. And it just, and I'll tell you, I'm also asked for the staffing patterns for the last 4 years.
Thank you.
Right now,
Thank you very much.
Right now, Troy, anecdotally, I can tell you, it looks like a 17% increase in their manpower and funding requirements over 4 years. That doesn't sound like tightening the belt to me.
A 17% increase in personnel costs and manpower costs when there has been a, 54% drop or or maybe a 60% drop in arrivals through that airport. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I want to make sure. Yeah, it's an overall cost, but a lot of that is personnel. We're gonna. That's why we want to do this with detail. We don't want to bring the airport down until we can really put them on the record. Have you trimmed the fat? Have you done things internally to make sure that you've done your part before you, first of all, ask for a massive increase in fees to the airlines and also ask for an unprecedented. I talked to some officials that actually have been around the airport even going back to 9/11. Did you know that even during 9/11, Troy, that there was no subsidy to the airport and the airport was effectively shut down for a long time with massive losses of funding, and they never asked the general fund for 1 penny.
Yes.
So this is a very controversial appropriation.
It's because, Senator, the FAA has been very clear with the airport. This is why I'm very surprised that this is even a thing. The FAA has always been very clear with the airport that its financials are totally separated from the general fund, and that whenever the governor, whoever the governor is at the time, demands that the airport pony up any sort of money that is generated anywhere on FAA property, that the airport is to say no, or the FAA will shut things down. So I'm very surprised about this whole mess that they're in.
Yeah. So anyways, I think you can see the picture now. So let's get to the bottom of this issue. You played the clips that are very appropriate and very accurate. Okay. Right now, I don't know what this alarm is for the money when they haven't even paid all of June yet. And they're asking for a subsidy for July, August, and September, the balance of the fiscal year. And I can tell you, Troy, and you'll probably get some calls and some emails, at least 6 of those child daycare centers that sat through most of this presentation, and I was speaking with them consistently, say that is not truthful what is being said on the floor, that all their invoices are clean and they haven't been paid. As a matter of fact, when we were up at the Micronesian Mall on Saturday, several of them came to us to talk to us and said, wow, I guess the fact that you're bringing us down there is really working because we got another payout just the day before we were supposed to be down there. So a lot is going on, Troy. There's a lot of money that the governor has at her disposal. She hasn't even exhausted the $5 million yet. There's still $1.8 million, as Ed Burns said. And she easily can use another $2.6 million on top of that she's asking for, because the general fund is rich and has all the money the governor needs. And I can tell you there's easily 15 votes for the 7.6, and some people even want to increase it. So the governor has no problem with appropriation authority.
So is this being used as, I don't know, I'm really bad with saying, so I'm not even going to try. Is this being used as a way, as the bait to pass the other 2 appropriations? Are you saying that that's what the suspected ulterior motive is that it's the other 2 things that the governor really wants, and so she's playing on public emotions regarding this childcare thing?
It has the feeling of that, Troy. I don't want to, like you were talking earlier, I think you're in your best life right now because of the fact that you're living in faith and you're using your faith to guide you and how you make decisions about things, and your life is completely different. I like to think that my life is in that zone as well. So I really, really try to avoid characterizations like that, but I can't help but notice that there is an alignment to that, because the governor knows full well that this appropriation is wedged between two controversial appropriations, and that there's so much more material to include plenty of amendments that are currently in the drive for this entire bill. And she knows that there's probably at least another couple of days of deliberation before this bill passes. And we still don't have all the facts. And we know that she has the money to pay the daycares. So this really should not be the issue that it's being purported to be.
I have I got as we were talking, I got a WhatsApp message from one of the childcare providers who says, "Yep, public health numbers don't add up. Their numbers are inflated. $22 million federal subsidy for childcare, but they want an extra $7 million from GovGuam. They only spent under $18 million on these kids." Can I read?
Yeah, you know.
No, go ahead.
Another thing, Troy, if you listen to, if you go in and take the time, if you want to do this tomorrow, listen to the speaker's analysis of this. I mean, he really dresses it down. They have a pretty large sum of money for administering this program. And he asked them directly. I know some people on the floor will say, "Oh, you know, it's not the same thing when you talk about administrative fees, you know, and you know, and payouts or whatever else." But not one person administering this program has ever missed a paycheck. But the daycare centers tell me that they've waited as much as 90 days for their payment. And a lot of them, over 50% of their clientele, are block grant kids.
What a sad situation. I want to read something
Troy,
a little lighthearted
go ahead.
for you. Mason Cruz said, "They should call Comfort Cuts to help them clean those numbers. That was the only thing consistent was their payments."
You know, I'm sure those folks are available, but Troy, honestly, to go back to how much this is very serious.
Yes.
So here's what at least 3 of the companies told me. One said, "This is my business. My husband has supported me all the time for this. We're probably at wit's end and we'll have to close because I'm actually pulling out from my 401k to keep my operation open to take care of these kids."
That is so sad.
Another said that they have a line of credit at the bank in order to keep operations going while they wait for payments from public health.
Wow.
And another basically said they've maxed out credit cards in order to be able to continue to run operations with cash advances. They will tell you this truthfully, Troy. This is not made up stuff that I'm not being hyperbolic here.
You can give them my number. You can ask them to call me, and they can speak with me on the record, which I would prefer. But they can also speak to me off the record if they're afraid of retaliation.
They're a little bit afraid. They said that you know, they said that they've been getting the white glove treatment. You know, and then look, you know, it's to take care of our kids, right? I mean, I'm not going to cast aspersions. You know, inspections are inspections, but many of them have told us that, especially the ones who care to, you know, share a little bit. They say that they get frequent visits and they get the white glove treatment, and they're not worried about it. You know, the white glove treatment, right? That's where the inspectors come in and they wear their glove and they see if there's dust on the top of a shelf and you know, ding you on it.
Yeah, Senator.
So
I know you don't want to be accusatory, right?
Right.
But also there's some blurred line between that and calling things out for what they are. And I think that there's when certain issues come up and when a certain amount of evidence is presented, there's an expectation, I think, from the public for their leaders to call things out for what they are, right?
Yes.
So noting that, keeping that in mind, what do you want to call out for what it is regarding this issue?
Well, I want to be straightforward and call out the fact that this is being alarmist from the administration side when they fully know that they have expressed and have the funding to support the program extension that they decided to do, and that there is no real funding issue associated with this. It comes down to what I've been saying now for a year and a half. It's an execution and operational issue. And so there's no need to do this. There's no need to make everybody afraid, and there's no need to create a political environment around something that is not political. It's simply taking care of business. This administration, Troy, pays bills anytime they want to pay bills. They're so, no, you have worked in an administration where transfer authority was the order of the day pretty much every other month because cash was difficult to come by. The reality is this administration is so flush with cash. To ever try to say that, there's an issue with paying any kind of bills that they have due is frankly, just obscene on its face. So this is unnecessary. They know that there is a lot of deliberation left in this omnibus bill that they decided to send down in this fashion. They didn't break it apart. They didn't say, give us one appropriation for this, one appropriation for this as singular bills. They called us in on an omnibus bill. And I hope they just get back to regular order, pay these daycare centers what they need to be paid, and come back in a more reasonable manner to talk about appropriations going forward, because it looks like they've made commitments for fiscal year 27 that they've never requested funding for. So I'm pointing out that this is unnecessary, and that if we just dialogue properly from a governor's office to a legislature, everything will be fine.
Thank you for that, Senator. Just two things before I let you go. One, Lindsay Adams Bennett, who is one of the providers, the childcare providers, so she runs a business, one of the providers. She raises a very important issue that has plagued not just the media, but average citizens, for whom the legislature created a law that was supposed to be liberally construed by the government, by the executive branch, to err on the side of transparency and on the side of the customers. And this is about the Open Government Law, or the Open Government Act. And Lindsay, she has gone to the Department of Public Health, I think it's several times now, to exercise her right granted by the legislature to inspect public records on demand, and she has been turned down several times by the Department of Public Health, and these are for audit reports and for other public records dealing with the child care subsidy. I think, Senator, it might be time for the legislature to, one, modernize the FOIA law in consideration of this is no longer the age of newspapers. And also to put some teeth into penalties against that, and remove both sovereign and qualified immunity from government of Guam employees who violate the FOIA law and violate the OGA, so that they can be sued directly and they can face consequences in their personal capacities for violating the rights of the people to their own government. I ask that you consider that, sir.
We need to, and that was brought to my attention during the deliberations on this matter. I'm extremely disappointed. My team is working on a letter as government operations under my a committee. And Troy, I don't know, maybe in the coming weeks when things settle down a little bit, you and I and Lindsay take a field trip and see if we get the same treatment over there when we ask for documents.
That's a great idea. That's a fantastic idea, actually.
Yeah, I'd like you've done that in the past, and I think you're extremely prolific on it. And I'd like for us to get together and consider this.
I hate it when agencies make up rules. I really do. And I call it out every single time. I ask, when they tell me something, I ask, did you just make that rule up? Because I was never aware of that rule within your agency.
But Troy, can I mention this as well?
Yes.
I'm extremely happy with the bravery that several of these operations have demonstrated. I know that you know how difficult it is for folks to come forward. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's because these folks in particular provide such critical services to children that they just, the barriers are off. You know what I mean? They don't, I first thought when they came down that they were going to be adversarial and kind of not be understanding of what's actually going on. And to my surprise, I've spent time with them now over the last several days and realized that the plight is an operational plight. And I'm getting so many messages too, Troy, not only from, just talking to the providers, but from other people saying, listen, take public health to task. This issue is bigger than just this appropriation. It's really operational at its core. And don't let smooth talking directors basically gloss over the fact that this program is really a mess at this point.
Well, when on my watch of the clips, the directors were not smooth talking at all. They were stumbling all over the place to get answers.
Okay, let me say this. When you're in a sterile environment where you can do a press release or talk 30 seconds to...
Those are gaslighting.
Right.
We've been gaslit the past couple of days, for sure.
But I think that there was probably a misunderstanding of what I was going to do with these hearings. And I think that's why we're also having a lot of folly with the front office now, because I was not going to go in there with a traditional, 2-hour, appropriation committee of the whole. A few of the directors from finance say, yeah, everything's good. Let's go ahead and just pass this. I knew there was a lot to this. This was just too big for the governor to have dropped it in the middle of our budget talks. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
We were like on day 6 or 7 of our budget talks, and all of a sudden, this bill drops and we called in.
Yeah.
And that's why we're like, no. Something doesn't seem right here. We're going to pause this. We're going to finish our budget, and then we're going to get back to regular business, and we're going to go, person by person by person and detail. And that's why, like I said, stand by for the airport next week, because we are going to be very, very critical if they have expenditures that seem, way out of line, considering they're asking for $26 million.
Senator Duenas, thank you so much. The last thing I need to ask you is if you can ask your staff to please send you the email that I sent to your office asking for your reaction to the rally remarks, but more importantly, the issue regarding funding for one-to-one aides and the salary levels for one-to-one aides. And if you can provide those answers to us today.
We will. We'll give you a general answer, but I'd like to talk to you about both extensively. But for real quick, okay. Of course, that was a horrible comment, and it was horribly handled. I mean, I don't know how many comments that I've read, and it was my thought process too, through all of the comments that were made, like, how come nobody within that group immediately knew how bad that was, didn't walk up, grab that mic, relieve the MC, and get the governor and lieutenant governor candidate out front to deal with that right on the spot. We do not condone this.
And the governor, because
the governor was there, because we were hearing her over at some of the other rallies speaking. So the governor was there. That miss of that moment, to me, Troy, just shows the general tenor of what we've been experiencing. I mean, somebody, even if it was just somebody within the campaign, whoa, hang on. We need to deal with this now, while there's still people out there and everything else. And also, because, even people, maybe they weren't, their senses weren't about them and were kind of, cracking up in jest. And I bet you most of them thought later, whoa, well, wait a minute, that wasn't funny. And so the thing is that had that been handled right there on the spot, it might have been a different situation. And of course, I'm absolutely, that is something that is terrible that was said. Not only that, but it was the way it was handled is also completely, outrageous. The other issue is that on the one-to-one aids, it's complex. And let me just start with this, and I'll give you, like I said, a brief, and then if we can talk about this next week.
Yes.
The SPED program itself, I think, has, from what the information I'm getting, has a lot of difficulty with itself internally as well. That program, has been managed, from what I understand, not well by a previous manager, and it's still kind of not altogether being managed well. And that has something to do with the issue. But the one-to-one aid issue and keeping them and making sure that the ones that are really good at it are paid well and not on a rotational basis every year is one of the major problems. Because the ones who really know what they're doing and that really take great care of the kids, they're the ones who they're losing. And because they're not permanizing them and giving them stability and good pay, there really could be the mentors for the other ones coming in that maybe don't have as good of a handle on taking care of our children who have difficulty. And so it's a complex issue. It's not just money and it's not just hiring. but I'd like to talk to you a little bit more extensive. But I'll give you at least a brief statement today.
Thank you, Senator. God bless you. And thank you for your time today.
God bless you and thank you. The truth always comes out in Kandit because we have the time to do this. So God bless our people and please, pay attention to Kandit when you see headlines and he does follow-ups because here's where you'll get the full story.
I appreciate that. And don't forget the election is in 2 days. Good luck to you, sir.
Take care and God bless Guam. Viva.
Right. All right, that was Senator Chris Duenas giving us more information about this whole child care subsidy controversy and importantly, what it's sandwiched between that BAVI appropriation request from the governor, which does not, there's something rotten in Denmark about that. And then the other thing that's rotten is the bailout for the airport. On the other side of the commercial break, I want to bring you that clip of my interview with Jermaine Alerza, who is the director of the Guam Developmental Disabilities Council, and discuss a bit, why is it that it is now 4 days later and there is no plan yet for how the government of Guam is going to make this right? We'll talk about that on the other side of this commercial break. Stick with us.
Hafaday, I'm Therese Lahi. You know me, I'm your senator, former speaker, businesswoman, lawyer, educator, and I'm a mother. I've spent my working life fighting for truth and justice for the people of Guam, and as your governor, I will continue to fight for your families and deliver a government that Guam can trust.
Hafaday, I'm Sabina Perez, familia Gozo and Cabeza. I've utilized my diverse background as a medical technologist, diabetes researcher, community organizer, and Simon Sanchez teacher to craft data-driven solutions to long-standing issues. As your Lieutenant Governor, I intend to advance the beautification of our island and to not return federal funds that support our families. We are running to deliver urgent relief to families who are struggling on Guam from the high cost of living and to improve the quality of life.
We assure you that your interests, not special interests, will be prioritized, that corruption will be replaced with honesty, true transparency, and a willingness to listen to our community.
Please vote Terlahi Paris for Governor, Lieutenant Governor of Guam.
A vote for us is a vote for Guam.
I am Therese Terlahi.
And I'm Sabina Perez, and we approve this message.
Welcome back to the show. This is the second and final half. My name is Troy Torres. It is now 9:31 a.m. on Thursday, July 30, 2026. The election is in 2 days. On Sunday, an MC at the Tenorio Munya Barnes rally said to the crowd, and there's an 8-second clip that went viral, and it went viral because the Tenorio Munya Barnes campaign thought it was okay to post this out and to let everybody know. They posted it on their own Instagram just to let everybody know that the MC said that if you vote for number 1 or number 3, you were in sped. You rode the short bus. It was a complete mockery of children with special needs. And the crowd laughed, and they laughed very hard and very loud. And the fallout has been severe, but the most devastating part of the fallout is the fallout for children, and because they're paying attention, and they just witnessed not just an MC make the comment, not just a crowd laugh, but their own governor, their own lieutenant governor running for governor, a member of the legislature, Senator Tina Munya Barnes, running for lieutenant governor, sit back, do nothing. They don't even know. Maybe those leaders themselves were laughing. It just wasn't caught on camera. And so, that is severe fallout that requires a critical response. It requires emergency response from the government of Guam, because this is the incumbent team that's running for a third term, essentially. They're the ones who are currently in charge of the programs under the agencies that provide these services to people with disabilities, living with disabilities, and to children with special needs. And the fact that it's day 4 now, we're on Thursday, there hasn't been a plan that's rolled out is disconcerting to say the least. And when I interviewed yesterday, was it yesterday or was it Tuesday? Jermaine Alerta, who is the director of the Guam Developmental Disabilities Council, about this. One of the questions that I persisted in asking him was, did you guys meet on Monday morning? Did you call an emergency meeting of your management team to say something went really wrong and we have to fix this and we need to put together a plan real fast to begin execution this week? I asked him, did you talk to the advocacy groups? Did you talk to the consumers? What's the plan here? And he didn't have an answer. He didn't have an answer then. The government has not produced an answer up till now. And that is upsetting beyond words. Here is that interview that we had with Jermaine Alerta. Let's see if Jermaine Alerta answers.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Alerta. This is Troy Torres with Kandit News calling you on live stream. We're on a show right now and our audience is listening.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Alerta. You know, I have to ask, what is your, because you're the head of the GDDC, what is your reaction to those comments made at the political rally you were at that mocked children with special needs?
It was an unfortunate comment. It was uncalled for, and I can't speak for the individual who did make the comment. But in my personal capacity, I'm trying to find the right way to say it, but it just, I'm still troubled by what was said.
Okay.
And you know, I mean, hindsight, right? In hindsight, I wish things like that weren't said because, you know, in the areas of disabilities and with the individuals and families I've become close to and have worked with, you know, there's always a kind of stigma that they're always trying to overcome in their lives, and when things like this happen, it just you know, kind of gives, I don't want to say, for lack of a better term, flashbacks of some of the worst things people have experienced. So
yes,
it was an unfortunate incident, and you know, I have spoken to some people about it, and they were very hurt by it, and I understand where they were coming from in that sense, and you know, we try to just, you know, tell them that just, you know, kind of, you know, do what you do to get through it, and always fall back on your support systems. You know, just because they already live more difficult lives than most other people, and we just want to reassure them that there are those in the community who do support them, and just reassure them that negative comments can be overcome. You know, when we can talk about it and just try to look at more of the positive things. You know, it's like it's hard for me to talk about it only because I can't imagine how a family or an individual feels, right, hearing stuff like that, because each person is going to take it differently. So I can just say I was very shocked when it happened, and you know, I mean,
what is your message, Jermaine? Mr. Alerta, what's your message to everyone in the crowd, your fellow supporters who were laughing at that mockery of children?
I don't know why someone would laugh. I can't speak on the reason why people did laugh.
No, but what is your message to them?
Do better. Do better. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, I was shocked at the moment, but I mean, just do better. I can't take responsibility for why people respond or act a certain way. So all I can ask is that people look at themselves and do better.
But you can take responsibility for your actions. So let me ask you, Mr. Alerta, what were your actions in the immediate aftermath of that joke and the crowd reaction, the crowd laughter? Did you look at the person next to you and say, "Hey, that's not something that's funny"? Or did you go up to the lieutenant governor or to the governor and say, "We need to fix this"? What did you do?
Well, I was sitting next to a friend, and at the moment, I mean, we were. I wasn't really. I mean, it wasn't a. I wasn't really paying attention at the time, right? Because I was talking with my friend, and this was kind of a downtime where the event was kind of just getting started. There were no people on the stage yet, right? So I wasn't paying attention at that time because I've been to different events, and I only kind of listen when candidates are speaking, right? So this was the offhand comment. I think we may have we caught it, and we looked at each other, and my initial reaction was, "Wow, I can't believe he just said that," right? So I said, "I wonder what's gonna happen." So I mean, I was in my wheelchair at the time, so I was just there in the crowd, and it kind of just the event just kind of went on, right? So my initial reaction was one of disbelief. I mean, I spoke to my friend who was next to me. That was the only person of immediate that I could just converse with at the time. So that was it. I mean, I didn't know where any of the candidates were, so I couldn't go up to them and speak to them.
Have you since spoken with your constituencies? I know that there's been an outcry from several groups who advocate for people with disabilities.
I haven't spoken to any one group specifically, like to an entire group. I have spoken with people who I know that have asked me about it, and I think I've shared with them that it was unfortunate. The same sentiments I was sharing with you, and that's kind of where it's been since the other day.
Mr. Alerta, do you feel that the actions you have taken or inactions since this controversy have that you've taken been in the best interest of the people, the constituents you serve, your consumers?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand.
Do you believe that the actions that you have taken since this scandal erupted have been in the best interest of your consumers, your constituents? Do you believe you've done that you've served them with fidelity in consideration of this scandal?
I mean, I've spoken to them and I've assured them that because we've always for the DD Council, I've always talked about inclusion, and part of the stuff, some of the stuff we go out and we bring to the committee is information on how to properly speak to people, how to understand that words do matter and actions do matter. So when people have spoken to me about it, I tell them, I said, this is what we've done at the DD Council. We've done a lot of different events where we try to encourage self-advocates and advocates for people with disabilities about trying to show, raise public awareness about some of the difficulties they go through in their lives. So I think for me personally, when people have asked me about it, I've explained to them what I told you, that I was obviously hurt by what was said, and I can't take responsibility for what happened, but I can go forward telling them that I am part of a support system that they have if they do face things like this that happen to them.
But could you not, sir, take partial responsibility for what happened, considering that you're part of it's voluntary, right, for you to go to these political events? I'm assuming it's voluntary, right? So you volunteered to go to a political event and to be part of a political movement that reasonable people would suggest, because of that remark, increased the bad stereotypes against children living with disabilities. Do you take any responsibility for at least being part of this group?
Well, I mean, on a personal note, of course, it was my personal decision to attend that event. But I'm very clear that it's not. I don't mix what I do in my role as the DDC with any political event. Those are two separate things, right? So in that respect, I don't take any responsibility campaign-wise because that was not my role. My role for DDC has nothing to do with the political campaign. So it's very, I'm trying to ensure people that my role with the federal program that I work under is not have anything. There's no relationship to my personal decision to take part in the campaign.
Thank you for bringing up the issue of federal funds. Is your position federally funded?
Yes, we do receive an annual grant as part of the Developmental Disabilities Act.
Were any of your other employees present at the rally?
One employee was there again, and it was totally voluntary.
Is it legal, according to either the Hatch Act or the Mini Hatch Act, for federally funded employees to participate in political rallies?
They're allowed to do it on their personal time.
So you're saying, according to the Hatch Act and the Mini Hatch Act, your understanding of them, that it is legal.
In my understanding, I'm not opining anything legally. It's just in my understanding that employees are allowed to take part in events on their personal time, so it cannot be on work time.
Sir, my most important question is, what can be done? What's the plan now to fix this rollback in progress against these types of stereotypes? What's the plan to move things forward?
Well, we're going to continue trying to raise public awareness. That's always been
How will you do
something
that?
that we've seen. In the work that the Duty Council does, because there is limits on what we can do in terms of shaping any public policy, but we take part in community events. We try to encourage advocates and self-advocates and their support systems to try to be more involved in some of the decisions that take place in both the government and in other community situations, so that the issues that affect them, they're part of the conversation. So it's really about trying to, again, increase or raise public awareness, and then also try to encourage and support advocates and self-advocates to kind of be more present in the conversations and discussions around the issues that are affecting them in their lives.
I'm asking for a specific plan, sir. So, I would assume that because you said that you were appalled, or that you were surprised, you were taken aback by the comments on Saturday night, that when you got into the office on Monday morning, you got your team together to have an urgent meeting about how to combat, how to turn the tide on this egregious issue. Did you have a meeting? First of all, did you go into the office Monday morning with that sense of urgency to do something, to plan something?
It was definitely a thing, but again, it's important that this happened at a campaign event, and
that the entire island has, that children with special needs are aware of. And so my question again, did you go into the office Monday morning and did you call your team together in order to at least develop a plan to combat the bad that has been done?
Yeah, we definitely did have discussions about it, and we did understand the kind of totality of the situation and how it was very, it really cast a negative shadow on some of the work and some of the progress we've been seeing in terms of community understanding of people with disabilities and their issues. So it's obviously something that we're going to continue to do with some of the work and the partnerships we do with other disability organizations on our island. And we want to make sure that the work we continue, this isn't something that kind of puts a dent in that work, but it's something that allows people to get a greater sense of urgency that there's still a lot of misconceptions in the community, and there's still a lot of negative stereotypes that are floating around out there. And so that some of the work we do, maybe we have a greater focus on some of the more specific issues. Again, we haven't identified them specifically as of this point, but
so
we do want to
there's
make
no
sure
there's
that
no plan right now. There's no specific plan right now.
I mean, we have our plans of the work that we do currently.
I'm talking about in response to this issue. There's no specific plan right now.
We haven't come up with one.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you, Mr. Alerta. Is there anything else that you wanted to inform our audience about?
Not at this point. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Alerta. You have a blessed day, and blessings to you and your team in trying to correct this mess.
All right, Troy. You have a good day as well.
God bless you. Bye.
You asked, we delivered. Guam AutoSpot is extending our overstock sell-off with the hottest deals on island, like our 2025 GMC Canyon with $4,000 off. Or slide into a brand new Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, starting at just $24,995. September is your chance to drive big and save even bigger. Visit us today or get pre-approved online at guamautospot.com or call 478-AUTO. Guam AutoSpot, where the savings never stop.
This stuff's hitting the spot.